Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Those of us that are in chambers, as well as those of us that are watching on the YouTube channel, if you wish to follow along, the agenda is on greaternapanee.com. I would remind council tonight that because we do have two council members that are joining us by Zoom, to use your mics at all times, and the same with staff, please. Otherwise, people that are watching the Zoom cannot hear us. They can hear the two councillors that are joining us by Zoom this evening. With that, I will call the meeting to order. I would look for a motion for the adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Deputy Mayor Kaiser, Councillor Johnson. Comments or questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, I would look also for a motion to adopt the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment for May the 10th, 2022 as presented this evening. Moved by Councillor McCormack, seconded by Councillor Johnson. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Land severance application, 5.1. I see, Michael, that we have a recommendation to defer both 5.1 and 5.2 this evening.
Your Worship, that is correct. The applicant has been in contact with the county, and the county is undergoing a review of their entrance permitting bylaw, and they're considering making some amendments to that, which would ultimately facilitate what the proposal is here under these applications. However, they have yet to amend, so they're not yet supportive. So the request from the applicant is to defer at this time.
Okay. I'll go with 5.1. You do have a recommendation to deserve Councillor Kaiser, seconded by Councillor Richardson. I'll make sure I look at the screen for motions as well. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. You have the same thing for the same reason. With 5.2, you have a staff recommendation to defer. Moved by Councillor Pennell, seconded by Councillor Norrie. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. 5.3, land severance application, PLCOR 2022-038. Chadwick, Meach Road, west of 290 McKnight's Side Road, legal description, part lot 8, concession 5, Richmond. I always normally ask if we have anyone here speaking for or if we have anyone speaking against. I do notice that we have Mr. Chadwick in attention tonight, in attendance tonight, and I would assume speaking for. Am I right, Mr. Chadwick? Thank you. Michael, I'll let you go ahead with this, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. This application is seeking to sever of land in the rural zone. The lot is located immediately west of 290 McKnight's Side Road, which is a corner lot currently being developed with a new dwelling at the corner of Meach Road and McKnight's Side Road. The retained lands would be a large land holding which would entirely have frontage on McKnight's Side Road, and the lands to be severed would entirely have frontage on Meach Road. Meach Road does not yet have a 20-meter wide rural cross-section, so one of the included conditions, which has been included previously on other applications but is typically a little bit outside the norm, is that we are requesting a 10-meter road widening such that we are able to accommodate road allowance width of 10 meters from the center line of Meach Road. So the applicant and staff have been in contact regarding this, and I don't believe the applicant has any objection to such road widening. And if there are any questions of the committee, I believe either myself or Mr. Chadwick would be able to answer those.
Committee, any questions directed either to Michael or to Mr. Chadwick on this application? Seeing none, you do have a recommendation to receive and further that the application to sever the 0.97 hectare rural residential lot be granted subject to the conditions contained within your. Moved by Councillor Pennell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kaiser. Any further comments or questions? All in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. 5.4, land severance application, PLCOR 2022-039, Harrington, 628 Beechwood Road, legal description, part lot 10, concession 3, Richmond. My normal speech here would be, is there anyone here speaking for or anyone here speaking against? Let the record show that Mr. Harrington is in attendance tonight, and I would assume as well speaking for the application. Michael, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Worship. This application seeks to create a 1.9 hectare rural residential parcel in lands that are currently zoned rural. The resultant frontage of the lands would be deficient as per the minimum requirement under the zoning bylaw. The applicant has also submitted a concurrent minor variance application to address the frontage. Staff have reviewed and are satisfied that there will continue to be land use compatibility with the proposal, albeit with reduced frontage for the retained and the severed parcel. The severed parcel opens up quite largely to the rear, and the lands to the west, so being the retained lands, the existing house is located fairly far west on that parcel itself, and the lands to the east are quite large in frontage at 90 meters. So although there's a reduced frontage here for the proposed severed lot, it won't appear out of the norm in staff's opinion when the lot is ultimately developed. The lot being the proposed severed lot, as well as the lands to the east, which are currently vacant. But due to that large frontage of the lands to the east, we feel that there will still continue to be enough buffering between the proposed severed, the proposed retained, and the currently undeveloped lands to the east. Staff are also proposing a hydrogeological review be undertaken due to the number of lots in the area that are currently developed or undeveloped, and that was at the recommendation of Quinte Conservation, and staff are certainly in concurrence with that as well. So if there are any questions of the committee, either myself or the applicant likely can address those questions.
Council, I'll go with Councillor Johnson first, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to point out how responsible it is that there is a water usage test done on the neighbors, and they don't have to worry that adding an extra house to the neighborhood is going to reduce the efficiency of their wells. And I completely appreciate that, and thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pennell, did I see your hand up?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, Councillor Richardson, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Worship. I guess the question is for Michael. Is there any other possibilities of any of these lots being severed again?
Through your worship to Councillor Richardson, no, this is the final severance for this parcel here, so there would be no further severances from any of the retained lands or the lands that were severed previously to the east, which I was referring to as the lot with the larger frontage. So this would max out that lot. There would be no more severances.
Okay, thank you. It's just as I look at the sketch, it's a little deceiving because the originally severed lot shows 295 feet of frontage. Yet when you look at the sketch, it shows the next two lots are retained and the newly severed lot being approximately the same size, but obviously they're not. They're only 160 feet each on those. So it's just a little deceiving with respect to the sketch that I'm looking at in the report there. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Pennell.
Thank you, Worship. Through you to Mr. Gnomes. Just wondering about the entrance, the driveway entrance. I see that in the report that the county doesn't have any issues with it. With the retained lots, the existing driveway is already in place. I'm just curious as to the severed lot, how close that those two entrances will be together. Or does it play a factor here at all?
If I could clarify, this is Beechwood Road, so this is our road. This is a municipal road. So the county comments, but they typically don't have a concern when it's not their road. Our Public Works Department has reviewed the application and provided comment that they don't have a concern with the location and installation of a new entrance. However, I believe there already is an entrance on the lot. Yeah. Okay. So the lot, the entrance does exist. It's set back quite a ways from the retained lands as well as the lands to the east new driveway ultimately. So there's good separation between entrances.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize about that comment because normally when we see a county, it has to do with an entranceway. So, okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Anything, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Looking at Google Earth, looking at the sketch provided, it shows a house on the retained portion, but looking at Google Earth, there's two outbuildings. One of them is to the eastern edge, I'm guessing, of the retained/severed line. Can you comment on the actual location relative to the line and the implications therein?
Through your worship, to the Deputy Mayor, I can confirm that those buildings that are currently shown on Google Earth have been removed.
Oh.
So they have been demolished, and the site has been cleared, so it's clear of those buildings ultimately.
Very good, thank you.
Anything further from council on this application? If not, you do have a recommendation before you. Councilors, where is this? Councillor Pennell, staff recommendation, seconded by Councillor McCormack. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. .5, and was that what I'm at now? I'm losing track of my papers here. Land severance application PLCOR 2022-041, Vance, 2838 Deserano Road, legal description Part Lot 1, Concession 7, Richmond. And I see this as a motion to defer at the request of Quinte Conservation Authority, depending their site inspection. Michael, is there anything you wish to comment on that?
Nothing additional there with regards to Quinte Conservation's request. They were anticipating getting to site to walk the area prior to having comments formalized. However, they ultimately ran into some unfortunate delays, so they were not able to get out there. Staff have noted that the requested lot configuration is slightly, it's different than we would normally see. The retained parcel's well is proposed to be located within the boundaries of the lands to be severed, so the applicant is hoping to get, if you look at the sketch, it's a strange lot configuration, but it would track around the well and the well line serving the retained parcel. When this comes back in front of the committee, the applicant is planning to be in attendance to explain the rationale there. So it was something that was flagged by staff. We requested that the lot be shifted, but the applicant is pretty adamant that it be placed exactly as they're proposing. So just wanted to bring that to the committee's attention.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Well, I did notice that it was pretty blatant on the sketch. And my question was, how does that impact the placement of a well and septic to service the proposed lot and in relation to that well?
Through your worship, so our sewage system inspector was on site, and the well is set back quite a ways actually from where a likely building envelope would be on the severed parcel. So there wouldn't be an interference with a new sewage system in relation to that existing well, and there would certainly be good separation between that existing well and a new well. I believe the applicant has had a location cited by a well installer, and there is good separation between those two wells. So again, the applicant will be in attendance when this comes back and can explain the rationale further, but it was certainly top of mind when we were reviewing the application, and those questions were asked of staff as well.
Okay, anything further from council? If not, you do have a recommendation for a motion to defer, moved by Deputy Mayor Kaiser, seconded by Councillor Johnson. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Minor variance applications. First one is 6.1, minor variance application PLBAR 2022-037, Lougheed, 1033 County Road 9, legal description Part Lot 6, Concession 4, North Fredericksburg. You do have a recommendation that the committee receive for information the withdrawal of the application by the applicant, and further that the committee direct staff to close the file. Michael, do you wish to comment?
Just further, the reason that this was included on the agenda was because after publication and notice was given to the newspaper for publication, and notice was given to our agencies. The applicant had withdrawn after that fact. So since it was publicized, we wanted to make sure it was included on the agenda. If anybody were to show up, they were able to see that it has been officially withdrawn.
Okay, thank you. Move staff recommendation, Councillor McCormack, seconded by Councillor Johnson. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. 6.2, minor variance application, PLBAR 2022-040, Harrington, 628 Beechwood Road, legal description, part lot 10, concession 3, Richmond. Michael, I know that we have Mr. Harrington in attendance as well for any questions. I'll let you speak to this, please.
Nothing further, Your Worship, from the discussion previously. Staff are supportive of the request, as we believe it will continue to result in land use compatibility between neighboring properties, and are supportive of the requested variances.
Council? Staff recommendation, Deputy Mayor Kaiser, seconded by Councillor Pennell. If there are no further comments or questions, all in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Motion for adjournment. Councillor Johnson. Councillor Richardson. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. The regular session of council will begin at 7 o'clock. Thank you.